Well, it's World Hepatitis Day, which was observed, of course, a couple of days ago, the 28th of July, to raise awareness on viral hepatitis, which causes inflammation of the liver that leads to severe disease and liver cancer. In South Sudan, the global medical humanitarian organization, Doctors Without Borders, or MSF, Medicines Sans Frontières, is running the world's first hepatitis E vaccination campaign in South Sudan's largest displaced persons camp. Hepatitis E is the most common cause of acute viral hepatitis, causing approximately 20 million infections and about 44,000 deaths per year. Let's get some more information right now from Etienne, Gignoux, an epidemiologist who works mainly on epidemics, hepatitis E, COVID-19, cholera, measles, Ebola, malaria. He's on the line from Geneva, joining us this morning here on Out and About. Good morning, Etienne.
Good morning.
Yeah, morning. Etienne, welcome to Out and About this morning. I mean, we're speaking about the 28th of July being World Hepatitis Day. We did speak about it, but nobody knows a lot about hepatitis. Not everybody knows a lot about hepatitis E. Just give us some little bit of context and background about the disease.
Yeah, so hepatitis E is a not well-known disease. Actually, as you said, is the most common cause of viral hepatitis E. Normally, it's self-limiting, so it can be a mild disease with jaundice and malaise, but sometimes it can lead some people develop some severe form and they have damage at the liver, and that can lead to death. And this is especially true among pregnant women. Pregnant women have a much higher risk of death, and not only death, but also stillbirth and fetal loss. The main characteristic of hepatitis E is, let's say, a kind of neglected disease and affected a lot of people, but not noticed, and especially pregnant women.
Now, I mean, you are in South Sudan. I mean, that's quite a curious choice, specifically South Sudan. Tell us about this campaign in South Sudan. Is it the first of its kind, and what exactly do you aim to achieve?
Yeah, it's the first of its kind in this campaign, but South Sudan is not really surprising as they experienced many outbreaks of hepatitis E. Over the last year, we did some study in the past showing a very high prevalence of hepatitis E. Almost half of the population had been in contact with the virus. And so they fight a lot of this epidemic, trying to control them with water and sanitation, but so far, there was no access to the vaccine, and so South Sudan was the first one to outside of Asia to implement the vaccination against hepatitis E to control an outbreak. And this outbreak occurred in a very big camp, the camp of Bentiu in South Sudan, a camp of internally displaced people. More than 100,000 people live there. They're in bad situation because there's a lot of flooding in this camp, so very bad water and sanitation. They had two outbreaks, the first one in 2015, and they had a new one in 2021, and this one that we are trying currently to control.
Right. I mean, you're running this vaccination campaign in South Sudan's largest displaced persons camp, more like a refugee camp. Now, tell us about the conditions in that particular camp where you're running this campaign.
So yeah, as I said, it's a huge camp, over 100,000 people. So one of the biggest in the world, and so it's quite crowded. There is recurring flood every year. So the situation of the people is quite difficult, with a lot of problem of latrine, access to clean water, and that really is the good situation for the development of outbreak of hepatitis E, because outbreak of hepatitis E is a virus that is propagated, that the transmission occurs through fecal-oral contamination. It means through water and a problem of sanitation.
Fantastic. We're speaking to Etienne Gignoux, an epidemiologist who is working mainly with epidemics from the Medicines Sans Frontiers, Doctors Without Borders, which is running the world's first Hepatitis E vaccination campaign in South Sudan's largest displaced persons camp. Now, Etienne, tell me, what are the big lessons that you learned? I mean, a short while ago, people were saying no to vaccines. So you can imagine anti-vaxxers and people that are resistant to vaccinations. So when you come up with the story of vaccination for hepatitis E, don't you expect some pushback?
In fact, actually, we did expect, especially with this, after this pandemic of COVID, because before that, I mean, the acceptance for vaccines, for measles vaccine, for instance, was very high. So we did expect some pushback, but as hepatitis E is a disease that people know in South Sudan, they are really concerned by that. They know some relatives that have been affected and some that have died due to hepatitis E. Actually, we had a very good acceptance of the vaccine, with a very good coverage of people come to be to the vaccine site. So it was really surprisingly a very good acceptance for the vaccine.
And how were you able to overcome the resistance specifically to this vaccination campaign when you landed on the ground?
As I said, from the population, the resistance was very low, actually. There was no, I mean, our main issue were mainly logistic because it was in a remote part of South Sudan, so we had to bring this vaccine there to make the cold chain. So the most difficult was the logistic challenge, but not at all the resistance in the population. There was very few. I mean, we did a survey to ask the people if they get the vaccine and for people who didn't get, why they didn't get. And very few, most of them that didn't get it because they were not there the day of the vaccination campaign. But very few said they were outside of the vaccine.
Yeah. In closing, Etienne, tell me, how wide is hepatitis in Africa? Do people know about hepatitis? Is there any awareness campaign that we can say we can replicate and duplicate on the continent? Learning experience that you think we need to be able to implement to raise awareness about hepatitis?
No, definitely. I mean, as I said, it's kind of neglected disease, while it has a big burden, and we should definitely increase awareness about this disease and how to fight for this. And what we are pushing now is, because we have this new tool, which is the vaccination against this virus, we really push to use more of this tool to try to control the outbreak. But the epidemic of hepatitis E occur in many places in Africa. We had the first one I worked was in 2004 in Sudan, in Darfur exactly. But we had things in Niger, in Burkina Faso, in Chad, in Nigeria, and closer to South Africa, in Namibia. There is an ongoing outbreak for many years now.
Fantastic. Excellent. Well, Etienne, we wish you the best of luck with the campaign in South Sudan, and hopefully we'll be getting back in touch with you to find out if the campaign was successful and what other lessons we can derive from your campaign.
Thanks a lot for your invitation.
Excellent. Thank you so much. That was Etienne Gignoux. He's an epidemiologist. He's working mainly on epidemics, hepatitis E, the likes of COVID-19, cholera, measles, Ebola, malaria, and is based in Geneva with Doctors Without Borders.